Hello and welcome to the Creatives Garden. I am Hikari Harpy, and today we are continuing our work on our current comic project, which is The Actress's Tale. Things are definitely starting to get a little bit more interesting as we're introduced to a couple of new characters. And if you haven't been following along, there are plenty of past streams to look back on if you're curious. Or if you just want to take a peek at the pages themselves before I post them up on Tumblr. I do have them up available for those who support me on Ko-fi. But let us talk for another time. Without further ado, let's go ahead and move on to the main camera. So as you can see, I've already got the page fully inked. Everything is nice and color-coded, if not, just generally where I want things to be. But yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and test one little tiny thing out, and then I will get started on the coloring. I have been looking forward to introducing this character for some time now. I've drawn him before on my channel, by the way. He's called the Ruby Merchant. And this is precisely where he's meant to be. There we are. Cool. Just wanted to make sure that was working. And of course I get canned sardines, because why not? Now, I need a quick refresher as to what I was coloring everything, because, my goodness. I want to say that this was the hazelnut color mixed with some purples. So just to spearhead that, I'm just gonna go ahead and pick out the few colors that I think I'll need. There's this purple. So yeah, I think I'll go ahead and start off with the hazelnut, because I've been using that a lot as my default brown color. And while I do this, I think I do want to go ahead and talk about something that I don't usually talk a whole lot about, but probably need to, as an artist who's showing off their work on the internet. Especially in this day and age. Like of course I'm not in a position to enforce anything. Internet's gonna internet, whatever. But in terms of what I believe best practices are, I just think that fan works or showing off anything pieces of what I make in terms of for reporting or saying, hey, there's this thing, that's totally fine. But yeah, I'm thinking that as an artist who is currently trying to make a living off their work, would prefer if anything that like is behind a paywall or, you know, is like up for sale anywhere, like just hopefully not be put anywhere else. Again, I know that's not something I can completely like have a say in, but if you're wondering whether or not I'd approve of like anything being reposted anywhere or whatever, like generally without my permission, no. I would prefer not. But yeah, if I think as a rule of thumb, like it's okay to like use my works like if it's like for a little fun side thing or stuff you don't plan on like monetizing or anything. Like so long as you're not like monetizing it, you know, because I feel like people like take other like people's works to like falsely advertise something or just to like get around paywalls. It's like it's a little like it's understandable if like you're disappointed you can't afford something, but you know it's still not cool to steal from, you know, artists. Let's see. Now I'm questioning whether or not that is hazelnut. I know the floor is this color, so I'm gonna start with that. Sometimes this is the issue with me taking a break. Sometimes I forget which colors I use, and then I just kind of have to eyeball it and hope for the best. Great thing about comics is that you don't always have to be super exact, especially since color can change depending on the tone you want the panel to have, or if there's a certain emotion that you want to convey first and foremost before the, you know, the as-is color of the actual space. So there's a little bit more leeway in a comic versus, I'd like say, an animation. I'm starting to think that it really was the hazelnut that I was using, so I'm gonna bite the bullet and just start. Let's start with some very light lighting. kind of want to hint out where the lightest colors are coming from, so that way it's easier for me to blend it in later on. For instance, this color is then going to be blended out into darker and darker shades. At least that's what I'm going for. Probably use the thin fine liner nib for these smaller crevices over here. Gotta be a little bit more careful around the word bubbles. Luckily, you know, these are very light colors, so even if they kind of seep in a little bit, it's not the end of the world. I'm gonna. Now, is this? I might be able to be safe to just go ahead and blend in from there. If you want to ask what on earth is on the shelves, I couldn't tell you, man. There are various knickknacks of just about everything. Anything that a survival horror protagonist might want, which, you know, depending on the puzzle, you might need just about anything. But yeah, you know, after everything that I said earlier, I do want to say that I am super grateful whenever, you know, I see people make fan art of my characters, because, like, when else is that gonna happen, you know? And I've always wondered, I guess, like, how my characters come off to others. Like, are they just seeing a super cute face that they're just like, this is relevant to my interests? Or, You know, is there something in the characters that they identify themselves with? Or, you know, is there like maybe two characters that you think would make for a very cute ship? You know? Like, even during the duration of making these stories, sometimes there's just character developments that catch me by surprise too. And I'm like, I was not planning for this, but now that I see it, like in this light, then I'm like, maybe. Maybe I will go this direction. Maybe. Or maybe it's something that just wouldn't, like, you know, fit with the story that I'm trying to tell. So I'm like, I see the vision, but unfortunately I can't do anything with it. So. Oh man, I should not be coloring that. I don't need that to be that color. You know, this hazelnut color actually reminds me of the color that I originally, like, used for the background of, like, the very, like, I think second page of the Snapdragon Club grand opening comic. And it stayed that color for a while just because I thought, oh, brown's a pretty neutral color. That could be, you know, good for keeping things in the background so all the colorful characters stay in the foreground, right? Like, I think that was generally where my headspace was at when I was making that. But I think after a while I was like, yeah, no, if it was all browns, it would not make for, you know, the most pleasing place to go necessarily. I mean, you know, depending on the, you know, theming of it, it could work, but there was a whole blue Snapdragon, you know, theming that I wanted, so it's like, yeah, why not just lean more into the blue? So that's why there's a lot more blue. And they even had like an in-universe like painting montage in the grand opening comic, so that was fun. But yeah, if you're watching this during the VOD, let me know if you've ever played in a tabletop game or have been interested in playing like a tabletop RPG type thing. It doesn't have to be D&D. Like, there are so many other different modules out there. I know D&D has become basically synonymous with tabletop RPGs, but there are other, like, other modules out there, simpler modules out there that you could be trying out. It's like, but not only that, it's like you don't even have to like get a group together. There are like solo tabletop RPG manuals out there. Like one that I was gifted was the was it Solo Adventures Toolkit, I believe it's called. Um, and it's basically just like a book of tables. And I've got like a couple of books like that where it's just you roll some dice and you see what you get. It's like, oh, there's a table for, you know, NPCs. There's a table for different buildings that are in a town, different town types, different like governing body types, different things that could possibly be in the NPC's pockets if you're one of those like rogue types that like to pickpocket. And is it kind of basically just a creative writing exercise? You know, more or less. In fact, I recently used it to basically come up with the first draft of one of my Sanctus characters. I say first draft because I don't plan on like taking it wholesale. It's more of just, I already know where some things are, and I just want to figure out how it's going. And hello, welcome, welcome. Oh my goodness. Been a while since I've seen you. How have you been? But yeah, I'm not even sure if you've been in my streams before. So, as a small little reminder, if you feel like, you can type this, and you can fish out a little fish in the pond. And there's also a leaderboard if you're interested in that. Actually, I think what I can do here is do a little bit more of a highlighting work over here. That should be fine. But yeah, the reason I've stuck to brown for this place is because basically everywhere else that I colored is all, you know, cool tones and grays, especially grays. So I figured with this being sort of based on like survival horror mechanics that this place is colored more warmly. It's not completely like dangerous, but it is still kind of drab, but it's at least colored warmly to like sort of indicate that it's a more safer area at the very least. Doing all right? Working. Yeah, no worries. How's the comic going? It is going pretty well. Like, after today's 2 pages, because I usually at least try to complete 2 pages of the comic per stream. because, yeah, surprisingly, it does take that long. But after these 2 pages, I think there's only like 4 more pages in here that I still need to ink up. And so that's basically, 2 more Fridays worth, essentially, before I have to move on to a new mixed media pad and continue the story. But yeah, I still have been, I still need to ink like 4 more pages in here, just because I try to like leave the dialogue alone for a little bit so that I can like change it up a little later, because I know in the past my writing style is maybe a little bit like too insistent on being lore heavy. Like, I'm trying to shove as much information as possible, and it's like, is that really, pertinent to the story? It's like, yes, it is there, but so leaving some pages like alone for a while before I ink it helps me at least like mitigate some of the, lore dumpiness of the dialogue sometimes. Let's see. Actually, where's the other gray? I want you. I think it's you. Yes. Because you're the one I accidentally filled with a darker gray and would like to get rid of. And then, you know what? I could actually probably just use the black for this. Yeah. Make that a little foreboding looking. Do I want pure black for that? You know what, sure, why not? I think I have more pure black ink anyways. Just stepped away from my machine. What's your goal for the comic? Do you mean the Snapdragon Club, like, series as a whole, or for the Actress's Tale? Because, for the Actress's Tale, it's just, mostly focusing on Mackenzie and her experience, essentially, of being thrown into a new world through another means outside of like appearing from the Fey City, which is like lightly touched upon in the Wanderer's Tale. And I think I'm also trying to touch upon like like just very lightly touch upon subjects of like survivor's guilt and basically solidify the Snapdragon Club as sort of a place of like emotional and mental healing for some. Like, it's not exactly like a replacement for therapy or anything. It's just, you know, one of those places that you feel safe going to. Where the people are cool, the food is nice, and the atmosphere is just, you know, not tense. But, yeah. So, with this, there are going to be, like, a little bit of, like, horror elements to it, which is why it's perfect for spooky month. Getcha? Yeah. Is it just completely dark here? Yeah, I used the N6 for that. Okay. Well, some of these are characters that I just newly made and therefore don't have really a set color scheme to them. So sometimes I just need a reminder of what in the world I was planning to do with them. Place you go to decompress and hang out? Yeah. That's basically what the Snapdragon Club is. And I think in a way it's like it's both healing for the customers as well as the 4 hosts who run the club as well. Because the hosts are going through their own things too. I'm multitasking. Apologies if you miss anything. Yeah, no worries. You know, I understand. Like, most people, like, when they put on a stream, usually they're, like, just leaving this in the background and whatnot. So it's just, like, it's just background noise. So if that's what you're here for, don't feel pressured to, like, say anything in chat if you really don't feel like it or you can't. Because, yeah, some people just put it on as, you know, for something to listen to in the background just so it's not, you know, completely silent. Which is totally fine. I mean, we're all just trying to get stuff done, so it's like, but it's just a nice sort of like chill hangout vibe, which is kind of what I like from my streams. But I guess a small sound check if you could tell me how the volume is for you, like if the music and my voice sound like, you know, pretty decent level. Because I know with me switching some stuff around, sometimes the music is a little bit loud. But luckily, that is... I know how to fix it now, more or less. But I'm always worried that something might go awry anyways. And then... I'm really glad I picked this as a ground color. Just really nice looking. Then here comes the question. This dark purple, I swear, like the really dark colors, I never really completely know where and when to use them because they always feel too dark for me for any given piece. But I try anyways. If I just used it very sparingly, then I might be able to get away with it. I think that's a lot of what I'm trying to do now with my art these days is figure out how to do like really cool lighting and shadow effects to really make a piece like pop, I suppose. Because I think the flat coloring always comes out, you know, pretty decently. But everything after that, it's like, well, you know, it's not something like in digital art where you can just sort of overlay like a masking layer and just kind of, you know, have things be filtered into a certain color to keep things cohesive. I have to like think these things out beforehand and then figure out which colors then would end up being that that ending color that I actually want to go for. So it's like if I had something that was red, and then in digital art usually you would like, if you wanted something like to all then be with a tint of like blue, then you'd put like some sort of blue overlay on top of that. But instead of doing that, now I have to think of, it would end up as this more, you know, very reddish purple or something. And it's like, okay, well, which one of my alcohol markers is closest to that shade that I want? Or can I like blend any of my markers to make that shade? So that's something that I'm still like figuring out. But so far, I think this is coming out pretty nicely. And again, I'm just really happy to finally be introducing this character again. I really do like my mysterious and dark looking characters. Well, you know what? I actually should be using that to color the insides of the sleeves because that's the perfect place for them. I feel like Bob Ross a little bit, man. Like, every color has a home. You just gotta find it. I don't think that's something he'd actually say, but it sounds like a Bob Ross-ism. Okay, then you... Okay, what did I color this guy again? I think it was just grays. Yeah, it was just grays. Bit of brown here, maybe here. Overdid it a little bit there, but that's okay. And then just a tiny dot of blue. And then hey, you Bob Ross. Nah, if anyone was like an alternate Bob Ross, it would be, yeah, Shibasaki Sensei. If you've ever seen the channel Watercolor by Shibasaki, I think he's been known as sort of like a watercolor version of Bob Ross, just because he's so very chill. He's Japanese, but you know, like he does watercolors, but he also works with crayons a lot on his channel, and it is just as, you know, amazing. I actually followed along with one video where he drew Shiba Inu in crayon, and I think I was using color pencil for that one, and I just went along with like same or similar colors that he used for it, and it's like, dang, how did you know? How did you know these colors go here? How did you know these sorts of colors of shadows would work well with this? And I think it's just one of those things where it's like there are things that you pick up just from sheer experience alone. which, you know, I'm sure younger artists are gonna, like, you know, feel disappointed at. There's just some things you just learn by experience, but that's what helps makes it easier. It's just developing a muscle memory of what works well together to the point where you're not even thinking about it. It's just kind of there. So I think sometimes I wonder if I'm coloring it wrong, because the original idea was that his face is a rose, but now that I look at it, sometimes I wonder if it looks more like a carnation than a rose. But I guess in the end, there's no particular reason why it's any type of flower, so maybe it's one or the other, maybe it's both, maybe it's a hybrid, maybe it's a magical hybrid. All that really matters is that this flower is very, very red. And then I brighten it up with all sorts of pink in there. Because he's creepy and he's spooky, but he's nice. At least I'd like to think so. Gosh, I really need more pastels though. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh boy. I've been working this entire time without any plastic sleeve behind my work. I am very fortunate I did not overly color in some areas. That the blotches that did make it onto the second page, they are easy to fix, but yeah. Got an eye for design. You're talking about me or Shibasaki? Actually, that needs to be a gray. There we go. just kind of fix this up a teensy bit. And then let's see. Is there anything else I really want to add to this page? I don't really know. I mean, I guess I could just add just a light amount of color variation. Just a light amount. That probably works. Quite a creature. Hello, Mr. Repairman. Welcome, welcome. Sound check okay on phone? Mostly watching TV. That's okay too, but can't reply from here. Happy Friday. Well, thank you for stopping by. As for Dead by Daylight, honestly haven't played it, but find it really funny how both Strange Trap and Naughty Bear on the same game, alongside slasher icons like Freddy or Jason. Honestly, yeah, it is really super funny. I feel like Dead by Daylight is like the horror equivalent of like Smash Bros, you know? It's just like, ooh, what new collab is gonna happen now? Who we're gonna get? Who's gonna be announced? I don't even play this game, but I'm excited. I'm interested. And then it's like, what do you mean Springtrap from Five Nights at Freddy's is in Dead by Daylight? What do you mean Sadako from The Ring? What do you mean Pyramid Head? Or that freaking Junji Ito collab as well. That was one I didn't see coming. I was like, really? Junji Ito? Another prolific mangaka. But, yeah. Honestly, I can't really think of anything to add to these, so, I guess I'll call these done. I went through this a lot quicker than I thought I was gonna. But I guess it's alright. I do still have some inking to do on the second page, so yeah. And who knows? Maybe if that also goes by super quickly, I'll get started on a third page, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And I guess I don't really need the plastic sheet for this one because this is the last page of the mixed media pad, so there's already like a thick piece of cardboard that's gonna catch anything. Okay, so I just need to pick out my pens really quick. We live in a wild era for collabs. Yeah. Sooner or later, one will be the killer from Trivia Murder Party. That would be very interesting considering the killer from Trivia Murder Party like doesn't have a physical, body that we've seen. It would be super funny though if you could just like be a player who can just every now and again being like, okay, stop working on generators, it's trivia time. You gotta work on this trivia before you can move on. And if you fail the trivia, you like instantly get hooked or something. Rest in peace, Multiverses. Why did you push your luck? Yeah, it's unfortunate, cause, yeah, that collab was also looked like it could have been fun. I just thought it was super cute that Superman and Iron Giant got to interact for a little bit, so that was adorable. I loved that. The Ghosts of Christmas Past, Present, and Future would be hilarious for a Christmas pack. Oh, are we still talking about Dead by Daylight potential killers? Would that make Scrooge the survivor? Just plays a crotchety old man. Just constantly going bah humbug every time he fails the generator checks. Oh, that'd be funny. Dream collab for my work? Oh man. So like collabs for like anything involving like the Snapdragon Club, World of Sanctus type stuff? God. I have a lot of respect for Paranoid DJ. Like, his sound design for comic dubs is kind of like the inspiration for why I decided to try my hand at comic dubs as well. Because I feel like the sound design for like the Hazbin Hotel pilot comics and also like the fan comics that he did sound designs of and videos for. It's like, I feel like that really opened my eyes as to what could be possible with the right sound design. That even though they're still, like, they are still images, like, you can still paint a very heavy picture with sound, which is why, radio dramas are a thing, It's like, yeah, you can still be very immersed with just the sound alone. And, I'm not as experienced as he is, so, the comic does or were in a tent. I still might do some in the future just because I do like having, like, actual voice claims for my characters, because I cannot imagine sound easily in my head. So, to be able to hear it is super helpful. Oh, to be a Foley artist. Honestly, like, full disclosure, like, I bought up, like, some sound packs from, like, Humble Bundle, right? Those are, like, sound packs where they say, okay, you can, like, use these, and, some of them, they ask you to, like, give full disclosure where you got them from. Others are, like, you can use them whatever, commercially, however you want. As long as, you're not, like, distributing them yourself. Which, yeah. But, like, for instance, there will be instances where, I need sound effects for, like, wings flapping. And there's a lot of sound files to go through, so I was just like, where is it? And the ones where I found of wings flapping were from, like, tiny flocks of birds, and it's like, that's not what I need. I just need a pair of huge giant wings. And the closest I found at the time were, like, the sound for, like, sails unraveling on a ship. And I was like, you know what? That kind of works. So, yeah, if you listen back to part 3 of the Hunter's Tale, the sound of Falcon's wings flapping is actually labeled as, like, sails unraveling. Most gore sound effects is food abuse. Bone crunches are usually celery. Yeah, it is really super interesting. Like, I watched this behind the scenes of, like, I think the Foley for Monster Hunter World Iceborne, where they just, like, crashed and, like, broke open huge chunks of glass, or not glass, but huge chunks of ice to, like, help, like, create a library that they could use for, like, all of Velkhana's attacks. Velkhana being the main ice dragon, the flagship for that particular Monster Hunter expansion. Flapping fabric is wonderful for wing sound effects, I can imagine. Yeah. Anyways, what was I gonna do? This one. sure his pant leg was on that side. Yeah. That is super wonky, but that's okay. I can deal. A trick I heard for quick and dirty soundproofing: if you don't have the wall padding, throw a blanket over yourself and the mic. Reduces the reverb and the white noise. Yeah, I've heard of that too. I mean, generally I use Audacity, which does have like a noise reduction tool, so you can get like the noise profile of like the white noise in the background, and then just like highlight the entire thing and have it remove everything that was like that, so you kind of like at least get most of it out, I feel. But yeah. Was that a bottle? That was a box and a tiny little thingy on top. I think that could go into giant box, which would be here-ish.
New Ko-fi subscription from RF.
Oh! Well, thank you very much. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for the subscription. I truly appreciate it. But yeah, I will have to check on that soonish. Ah, your visitor Sanctus here, yay! So that means that I will be contacting you soon about the Borb that you can get on stream. If you see these little tiny Borbs right here, they appear here, and they also appear right here on the welcome screen as well. But yeah, once again, thank you very much. Oh my goodness. And I guess while Kofi is being mentioned, not only do I have the Visero Sanctus tier, in which you can get a Borb with your name attached, but I also have some stickers that are up for sale. So you can get stickers of my Harpy form, or my Borb form, if you think that's cuter. And of course, a whole bunch of stickers that are themed after characters from the Snapdragon Club series, which also include Mackenzie and even, oh, I just had him. Where is he? I know he's here somewhere. There he is. A ruby merchant. So that's right. Even he has a sticker ready to go as well. But I also know some of you may know some characters back from old media. So for those who are interested, Dolly also has a sticker as well. But yeah, all of these stickers are honestly super cute, really high quality, and they're also really huge, like almost the size of my hand. Like, look at that. Okay. Alright, I think... Oh, no. Missed a spot like I always do. Okay. I think I got everything. Okay. I think that's good. Oh, that's where the plastic sleeve went. Okay. with the hazelnut, except I got one more sketch I need to erase. There we go. Kind of using the hazelnut as also a more dramatic shadow, just because I think that's the proper tone I want to convey, at least in these panels. It's going to go back to something lighter. Okay, looking pretty decent so far.
New Kofi shop sale from RF.
Oh my goodness! Thank you so very much! We'll get those stickers to you soon, I promise. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Truly appreciate it. You know what this color scheme is reminding me of? I think it used to be it was giving me vibes of Pikachu, but now I'm thinking more it's giving me vibes of Pum Pum Pudding, the Sanrio character. That's just the right amount of rim lighting, I think. And let's go ahead and color the floor. Because why the heck not? too distracted. But yeah, I hope everyone in chat and everyone watching the VOD is having a lovely day today. Of course, it's getting chillier out there, so I hope if it is where you are, that you're staying nice and bundled up. Autumn is finally upon us, and we do not want to be caught unawares. was admittedly a bit of a switch to see the Ruby Merchant after having finished reading Discworld's Mort about death employing a teenage apprentice. Still got the hooded skeleton on the mind, I guess. Yeah, I can see. I can see the similarities, but she's definitely. Mackenzie is definitely not an apprentice to the Ruby Merchant. She's unfortunately just another poor lost soul, and Ruby Merchant's just there to kind of help people out. He is, of course, gaining things from this, but, you know, it's his own little way of helping out. He's more like the Duke from Resident Evil Village. Like, he has his own reasons, but in the end, he's still providing a service to those who need it. How was that story, by the way? Like, I think I've heard a lot of good things about Discworld. I'm not sure if I'll ever, like, sit down and read it myself, but, you know, I've heard good things. More of a looming hooded figure aspect, yeah. Discworld's wonderful, but I say to start, you go to a bookstore or a library and let fate decide your entry book. Most of them are standalone, albeit with callbacks. Reading in publication order because I'm already familiar with it. Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, interesting that they are standalones with callbacks, because I think that's kind of also like a similar way that I'm trying to go about the Snapdragon Club with the individual tales. Like, admittedly, like the grand opening and the Wanderer's Tale were highly experimental, because the grand opening was basically the first one outside of the Sanctus pilot that I did. Because the Sanctus pilot was like 20 pages, albeit 20 very long pages, because it was more of a, you know, I guess you would call it like a webtoons format, like a more scrolling format. And then, the grand opening was just like, what was it, 70 something pages of just basically slice of life lore dumping. At least that's how I feel about it now. And then the Wanderer's Tale being, the reader POV, which is only like 20 pages again. But I think I've finally found my footing with the Hunter's Tale, and also hopefully with the Actress's Tale. Like, the type of standalone stories that I can tell with, callbacks hinting as to like where in chronological order this is taking place. Like, for instance, the Hunter's Tale takes place like before the grand opening. And you can tell that because, all the titular characters of the Hunter's Tale show up during the Fright Night pages of the grand opening. So, chronologically speaking, Hunter's Tale has to come first. But the Actress Tale is taking place after the grand opening, because, like, yeah. Here the coloring of the Snapdragon Club is far more, like, I guess, solidified into its own thing. Okay. I think that's all the purple in these pages. Hopefully. Okay. Where's the door on this? It was black and then gray rim. like you've been doing well at that too. Thank you. What you said about fantasy pantheons a while back got me thinking about my own. Oh yeah? What you got for me? Tell me all about it. Okay. That's enough of the googly eye. I missed one. What I think I'm going to do for Toe and Turf is this. There are 3 known gods, but what they look like, what they want, and the like is a major source of contention. The names and basic aspects are known, but everything else is shrouded in confusion. Very interesting. So basically, people know that 3 gods exist, but they have no idea what their deal is. A fascinating concept. It's like imagine it's like, yeah, we know for certain that there are 3 beings, possibly beyond our comprehension, that were basically in charge of the creation of like the entire world, or maybe at least a lot of the major aspects of it, but we have no idea what they want or why they did it or anything else at all. Like that sounds kind of terrifying, honestly. It's like, now you know that there are like 3 beings with that amount of power. It's like, dang. I think in terms of the three princesses, they're kind of like mythologized at this point, where it's like people aren't even sure if they ever existed. But it's like there's a chance that they could have. Ob and Ret have been briefly mentioned, but there is also one more whose name I am workshopping. Yeah, that's completely fair. I think the only ones, like, their true names, because of how the Fae works, that their true names are not known. But I think they are generally known as like sun, moon, and the third one, it's like power. Like, it's technically like gravity, because it's like the force that like pulls everything in and keeps everything together, like the glue that holds the cosmos together in a way. But yeah, I think they're only really known as the seasons' names, which is like Sol, Loon, and Paith. Because I believe I only came up with 3 seasons instead of, the usual 4. So basically, you got your warm, sunny time, you got your cold, darker time, and then you got the in between, which is what Paith is. So basically, Paith covers, I think, both like intermittent seasons of like autumn and spring. Although spring kind of falls a little bit more under Sol, but yeah. But Paith is mostly, I think, more associated with autumn than anything else. And then, yeah, Loon for winter. Rit's main aspect is that of existence, creation, and like, ooh. Pob is known as the god of fate, for good or ill. Nice. Itor is the god of change, but also that of destruction. Oh, so kind of like the princess. And I mean the princess as in the shifting mountain from Slay the Princess. Isn't it more polite to ask if what would you have me call you? Yes, it is. You don't use may I have your name. You don't use that specific word. Because yeah. When Fae are using that phrase, that means completely something completely different rather than just a simple greeting. Paeth, Paeth. So, I guess a small insight as to how I tend to do world building for terms and phrases in Sanctus. I generally stick to Latin roots, generally speaking, and that's how like I get a lot of terms that way. And I believe Paith is what I found when I was looking for like autumn or like it's more. I guess it's technically more like path. So it's like it's the in between. So it's more closer to being the in between seasons is what Paith encompasses. I don't even know if that's how the actual like Latin root is pronounced, but that's how I chose to pronounce the season in Sanctus, anyways. So, for instance, in the grand opening comic, uh, during the Fright Night pages, there is actually mention of Akasi and Crystal both competing in the Paith Cup, which is, yeah, it is a tournament that takes place during one of those, like, intermittent seasons. And it's basically, you know, a fighting tournament a la, like, Dragon Ball and stuff like that. Makes sense. Yeah, I'm glad you think so. But yeah, I really do like the idea of the deities that you came up with. Those are definitely some really powerful ones. Would not want to mess with them. Oh, I did miss some. I think I'd rather use that and welcome. Hope you're having a good day today. As for me, I am really not going to need too many more colors, I don't think. Just need to remind myself what did I do for the window. I think it was more of a raw umber and then a pure black. This is terracotta, but you know, could work anyways. Yeah. was the light blue, and then I believe the ultramarine. And we can probably go back to the hazelnut, so I might need to go grab more refill. Nah, that's the raw umber. There's the hazelnut. Okay. Well, it's gonna be up here anyways. Thinking of fairy, I remember seeing a half-finished fairy ring in the grass near my house. Knowing it would be mowed, I decided even if I don't believe in fairies, fairies certainly do. Gave an offering of a few grapes and advice to vacate, and the ring seemed abandoned next time I saw. Whether or not it was fairies, better safe than sorry. Wow. To be honest, it has been a long time since I've seen a fairy ring. And they were like super tiny ones. But, yeah, I do find it funny that even though we say we don't believe in fairies, sometimes if we see stuff like that, it's like, yeah, no, I don't want to mess with that. It's kind of like a similar thing with, like, haunted or cursed objects or, you know, haunted houses. It's like, you don't believe in ghosts or you don't believe in curses, but also, maybe don't mess with that. It's like I'm not gonna be the one taking that chance. from what I hear, that's the general European fairy advice. They're certainly not real, but don't mess with them. That is also what I've heard, yes. And I still find that hilarious. And I think it's just kind of the similar mindset of like, again, I go back to like the haunted or cursed object or house idea. That it's like, if you find out that what you're about to step into is like a haunted, house, or there's a cursed object where anyone who like touches it is cursed to have something bad happen to them, then it's just a matter of like, well, you don't believe in that nonsense. However, you also don't want to find out if you are in a horror movie, and if you are either the extra or the surviving character in a horror movie. You don't want to take that chance. Yeah, even if curses aren't real, you don't want to be the first one to get a real one. Right. Was just curious to see who's on the leaderboard. Kana is almost overtaking Froggy, so. There's gonna be a lot more fishing to go around. Okay, so I think what was the seat color? The seat color was sky blue, I believe. That's a sky blue and a pure black, so big the cat joke. Froggy. Never seen anything like that on a stream. It's neat. Oh, the fishing mini game? Yeah. As soon as I saw it, and I found out where to go buy it, I was like, oh, I hope this works for YouTube. And luckily it does. I'm so happy it works. And more importantly, I'm glad that you guys enjoy it too. Because I do have another friend, another artist friend, who streams on Twitch. He has a separate, fishing mini game that he has. But that one only works for Twitch. Which is why I was, so upset and was like, ah, man, I really want a little fishing mini game. Because whenever I go to his streams, it's I'm always, constantly fishing. Because I don't always have something to say. But I also just want to be I'm part of this stream too. So, ooh, nice. That's a very huge guppy. Nice catch. But yeah, so I'm glad this fishing mini game works and that people can enjoy it. Because I like it too. I think it's very cute. And it's just something to do and something to say, hey, I'm here. Even when you don't have anything that you feel like saying or anything. If you just feel like saying you're here, then yeah. Just fish a little fish. I'm debating about the background color for this because I also want to try my best to blend it in, because it's supposed to be like a transition from the flashback. Maybe first I go into lighter tones like this, maybe. This would be more like nice. And let's see. Maybe I can blend it into this, maybe. Hmm. Maybe just kind of leave little bits of this, maybe. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to put some out here because there is fog out here. And with that, I think this page is done too. Yep. Well, this stream went by a little quicker than anticipated, but sometimes that's just how it is. So, as you can see, as a small recap, we got another 2 pages done. Finally introducing the enigmatic Ruby Merchant. So, yeah, I think with that, I will call this the end of the stream. So, for everyone in chat, and everyone who watched the VOD, I want to thank you all for joining me once again on getting some more pages done for the Actress's Tale. The story is far from over. That includes the backstory. Like, even though I drew the panel leading back to the present where she's sitting in the Snapdragon Club, the backstory is far from over. We still have some questions we need to answer. So, we'll see how many questions we can get answered in the meantime. But thank you very much for joining me. Once again, if you enjoy my art or are very interested in my stories or my characters, feel free to leave a like, leave a comment, whether it's about my art or, you know, maybe what your favorite scary movie is. Alright. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, that would also be awesome. Or, you know, share any videos or playlists that you think are worth looking into. Personally, I would, I'd probably show the Huntress's Tale comic dub, since that playlist has been a long time coming, and I'm just so glad that that project was a huge undertaking, but it's finally done. But yeah. And then, if you are feeling generous and you have the means to, if you're willing and able, I do have a Ko-fi link up here in which you could either like buy me a boba, which means like donating, or you can become a visitor of Sanctus tier, which is a subscription tier. And if you are a visitor of Sanctus, you are eligible to get a Borb if you wish. That has your username attached. We actually had one earlier in the stream stop by. And we also have stickers available for sale in the Ko-fi shop, in which you can get either stickers of my Harpy form or my Borb form, or you could get stickers of any of the various Snapdragon Club characters, including Ruby Merchant and Mackenzie. But yeah, with that being said, thank you all for joining me, and I appreciate everyone who stopped by. Hope to see you again soon. Bye. Bye.